I'm Dennis Panay, and I've lived in this city for since I was 10 years old, basically. And we've had some very interesting conversations in our circles. The one with the Odagan group, as well as in the Wichita Youth Circle. And we found that in terms of talking about safety, racism is probably the biggest thing that affects our Indigenous youth. We have about 14 people who come to our youth circle every week, and many of them, all of them have faced systemic racism. Some of them have been involved with the foster care system and have experienced homelessness since they lived in the foster care system because there's no supports for them after they leave foster care. There's many things that where Indigenous people are kind of swept under the rug. Even in schools, like you look at the social studies class, and there will be a complete lack of the true reality of the histories of this country and colonization. And it's no surprise that racism exists in this city extremely when we worship the Oilers and the Eskimos, two outdated and extremely violent things that have happened towards Indigenous peoples. The oil industry being one of the biggest things that have destroyed Indigenous peoples in the north. Many of you know about Fort Chipewyan and how 22 of their kids out of 1,000 people that live there have experienced cancer because of, as a direct result of the oil industry. So some things we talked about to combat racism. A lot of our youth don't come from, some of our youth have degrees, some of them don't. Some of them didn't have the opportunity or didn't have the capability to get there because education is a barrier, and it's an often unsafe place for Indigenous youth to be. So a lot of the things that we had come up with to combat racism and white supremacy is a lot of art projects, but also doing an in-depth catalog or research, like a research test into taking a look at different schools and taking a look at the different amounts of minorities to non-minorities in schools and how the staffing of those schools affects their students. One thing that you'll see often in schools is that if it's a group of white students who get in trouble, boys will be boys, and if it's Native kids, if it's Native students or if it's kids of color, it'll be gang violence, and they'll be suspended or sent to a different school. And if this is done continuously to a youth, then their chances of succeeding in school are far less. That's why you see in our communities less of a high school graduation rate, less of our students going to post-secondary, and less successful communities. And this is all a systemic way of keeping down Indigenous peoples and peoples of color, because it benefits many of the people, even sitting in this room, for us to be down and for you guys to have these jobs in high positions of power. So one of the things that we can all do together as a community, because we are a community, is learn about each other's cultures, teach our youth, not just our people of color and our Indigenous people, about each other's cultures, so that we can be a community as opposed to different communities. Because we all are a part of one community, Edmonton. And in the spirit of that, Wichita means we share. So I believe, and I think our group really believes in the idea that sharing our cultures is in a way a negative thing. And if we can do that and respect each other's cultures, we can live in a more successful society. Because the Indigenous community, us being successful doesn't hinder anybody. The non-white and minority community, your guys' success doesn't hinder anybody. And I think that if everyone is successful together, then we could live in a more beautiful world. So with that, the group is still meeting, talking about these different subjects and thinking of ways we can move forward in creating a safer and better place for Indigenous youth and non-Indigenous white people. So yeah, thank you very much, and I hope you guys took something away from what I said. And yeah,